Hey y'all, welcome to a What I Eat in a Day. I'm going to take a different spin on this one today though and show you foods that if I was still working outside of the home or traveling outside of the home each day, I'm going to try to show you some foods today that would be easy to prep ahead of time, pack with you, and take with you outside of the home. I've had several mom friends reach out and request this type of video because they want to start feeding their family this way, the from scratch cooking, the prioritizing higher ingredients, eating whole foods to truly nourish their body, but they're kind of stuck on how to take these foods with them. If you know my story, I used to work outside of the home just a little over a year ago. I was a high school math teacher. For the first 2 years of my children's lives, I was working outside of the home. So I'm just gonna kind of talk you through things I used to do back when I was working outside of the home, how I would take these foods with me. When I was a teacher, our school of course had lunch options, but sadly enough, the food that schools are feeding our children in school cafeterias is very little nutrition, has very little nutrition to it. So I chose not to eat that. I felt so terrible for the children who had to eat that, and just something I could talk on for a while, but I'm gonna bring y'all along for what I eat today. Hopefully you can get some ideas of things you can take with you on the go to prioritize high quality ingredients. Let's jump right in. So for breakfast, y'all know me, I'll always wake up and have something pretty quickly within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. When I first wake up, I've got chores outside to get done to help my husband with. Sometimes I have a child even awake, so I try to get something in my body pretty quickly before I'm pulled 20 different directions and don't have time to get us something nourishing into my body. So I made a yoki drink. Imagine that. If y'all have been around here, you know I love yoki drinks. I'd actually made a chocolate milkshake the night before for my husband and I to share, and I had a little bit extra, so I just used the rest of that milkshake. This was just frozen banana milk. I left the cream in the milk so it was extra creamy like a milkshake, and some cacao powder. Just whipped up a egg yolk. This is a high quality pastured backyard egg yolk. Definitely know the source if you're going to be eating egg yolks like this. Mix with a little bit of sugar and then whipped that into my chocolate milkshake. It was super delicious, super creamy, and that just held me over while I went outside and dealt with the animals outside, made sure everybody was fed and watered, and then came back in and made a true breakfast for us. I always like to have something savory, but I don't always feel like making eggs in the morning. Eggs is usually a staple in our house, but if you're trying to get outside of the door really quickly, sometimes you don't have time to sit there and scramble or fry up eggs. So this is an option that you could take with you to work or make ahead of time or have in the refrigerator, pop it out, warm them up, and feed your family the next morning. So this is a savory pancake. So I just mixed up a little bit of my sourdough discard with some soup from the night before. So this sounds kind of odd, but you could do this with any savory veggies, meat you had on hand. So we had some turkey roasted soup the night before. You'll see this again at lunch. I'll tell you more about it, but I basically just wanted a little bit of savory flavor in that pancake instead of just being that sweet buttery maple syrup pancake, which we love, but we have pancakes a lot and I just was craving something savory. And again, this is something you could easily prepare the night before or a couple of days before, put in the refrigerator or the freezer, pop into your oven, back into a skillet, and warm to serve your family. So again, I just mixed that little bit of soup in with the pancake batter, and that allowed us to have broth in our breakfast because there was a lot of bone broth in that soup, a little bit of turkey meat. We had some turkey leg meat from the previous night's dinner, some carrots, potatoes. Sounds odd, but this is actually surprisingly delicious. So just taking some savory veggies and mixing those in with your sourdough discard and a couple of eggs, that will make like a pancake batter, and then you can just fry them up. You could do this in about 5 or 10 minutes the night before and then just pop them up, warm them in the next morning. I remember the days when I did have to get out of the door and get kids ready to go, and mornings were just hectic, and it's always easier to have something prepared ahead of time than have to prepare a full breakfast. And if you have something like this, you can refer to this instead of the faster, more convenient, more processed foods that are marketed to our families these days that are not healthy and nutritious for us. So let's talk about snacks. I used to let my kids just snack on fruit throughout the day, which is fine, which is great. But I found they were not wanting to eat the really nourishing, hearty meals I was preparing at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We cut down snacking a lot, but with that being said, I usually need a snack mid-morning, being a breastfeeding mama and just the busyness of motherhood. So when I have a snack, I of course my kids are gonna want a snack. So I've just been keeping snacks more minimal than just letting them grab fruit and protein marshmallows of the day. So if you're working outside the home, this is an easy one you can take with you. This is just a sliced apple and boiled jammy eggs. So we used to like hard boiled eggs, then I realized how much more delicious eggs were when they were a little bit more like jammy, kind of soft boiled. My husband too, the first couple of times I made this, he was like, why are these eggs kind of not done? And then he tried them and he was like, wow, these are way better than hard-boiled eggs. So basically, to make a jammy egg, you're just gonna, instead of boiling it the full like 10 or 12 minutes, you just boil it 6 or 7, and they are so good. So these are another delicious, easy one you can take with you. Tide you over until your next meal. And then of course, we want to replenish mineral stores. So we're actually having some of our Electrolyte Hydrate drink. I shared that recipe a few videos back. To change it up when I would be outside of the home working, a lot of times I would just take yogurt. We make our homemade yogurt from raw milk, and I would just add a splash of collagen or fruit to up the protein value. Another snack you can always take is just a meal. Like a meal can be a snack. I think we get so caught up in snack foods, but you can just take a small portion of soup or a small little piece of sourdough sandwich bread with some deli meat, just a smaller portion than a normal meal. That can be a snack. And I think we always get so caught up in making these snack foods for ourselves and for our kids that we forget that a meal can be a snack. You can just have a leftover pancake from breakfast for a snack with a boiled egg or with a protein marshmallow. I've shared my protein marshmallow recipe many times on this channel. That's another easy go-to. I'm getting lunch together. I have some rice going in some water. I prefer to cook rice in bone broth, but we're out. I've shared my rice cooking hack before. I'll link that below if you want a way to cook rice perfectly every time. So last night we had this just with soup and croutons, but to change it up today so that my kids are still wanting to eat it, I'm gonna put it with some rice. My kids always love rice. This is another easy lunch you could have on the go. Basically, when I worked outside of the home, I always took leftovers for lunches. So back then, I only had one child eating with my husband and I, so we always had plenty of leftovers. And if it wasn't gonna be a meal with lots of leftovers, I would just double the portions and make a larger batch so that my husband and I could have leftovers for the next day. Like if we had a soup one night, I would just take that for my husband and pack that for my husband and I for lunch the next day. Easy, fulfilling, satisfying, nourishing lunch. But for some nights when we have things like breakfast for dinner and there's no leftovers, for those cases, what I always did every weekend is make some large batch of something, whether it be Saturday or Sunday, either a lasagna, a soup, a spaghetti, a big casserole dish, something that I can make in a big batch, and then just go ahead and pre-portion it into lunch containers for my husband and I to have throughout the week for those days that we did not have leftovers. So it was always something in the fridge for us to grab and take to work with us. When I worked outside of the home, my husband still works outside of the home, so I'm still preparing his foods like this for him to take with him to work each day. So he actually has the same exact soup that he's eating at lunch at work today that we're gonna have here at home. And I always, we don't have a microwave in our home, so the options to reheat our food are either to reheat it over the stovetop, which works perfectly fine. Outside of the home and you don't have a way to heat it on the stove, we use a microwave oven. Can use a microwave. We don't use microwaves anymore just because of the side effects. If you are warming things outside of your home in a microwave, try to use glass to warm your foods in instead of plastic. So I won't get into all the microwave thing, but we use a microwave oven, like a toaster oven in our home to reheat food. So I'm reheating that soup now for the kids and I, cooking some rice, and then we're just gonna have some bread on the side. I've always done lunches. Like I said before, I never ate the school food options when I was a teacher, but just because of the lack of nutrition there. And it's just so sad that our children that are in schools now are given that to eat. And it's our job as parents to change that and to send them with better food options if they're having to eat that. So This is something that works for us. If you're looking for a not hot lunch, you can always do sandwiches. We make big batches of sourdough bread every Sunday or Monday, and then I have that throughout the week. So that's what we're working on here is our sandwich bread loaf. You can always just make a big batch of bread or buy a higher quality bread and take sandwiches for the day so you don't have leftovers. Or if you're wanting to pack that for your kids, for as far as meats, we either use like the turkey meat that I cooked here in the slow cooker a couple of days ago. I'll put that on a sandwich with some ketchup or some mayonnaise and mustard, and we'll eat a sandwich like that. That's one that you could take cold because you can just have the cold meat. You could do deli meat. There are better, safer deli meat options. Another sandwich we have done is roast sandwiches. So if we have a crock pot roast that we cooked a couple nights before, we'll take the extra roast and put it on a sandwich. That's another one that's okay cold. I prefer it warm, but you can eat that cold. I know that warming your food is sometimes an issue when you're outside of the home during the day, especially for young children that are having to eat in schools and don't really have an option to warm up their food. So I always try to think of cold options to share with y'all too. I know that if you're taking this on the go, you're gonna feel like you're taking so many dishes and Tupperware containers, glass Tupperware containers with you on the go. We used to have several, like 10 to 12 of these that I would pack our lunches in to go to work. They were a little bit smaller than this, but this is what we use. It's a glass one. Remember the days of washing containers like this non-stop, always unloading them at the dishwasher, but that's just part of it if you're eating whole foods, trying to cook from scratch, eat outside of the home during the day. You're just gonna have more dishes. And I remember the struggle. I feel you. I know you feel like you're taking the whole kitchen with you to work, but literally I just had a big old lunch bag and filled it full of all my food throughout the day, and it kept me satisfied and nourished while I was away from home and not having to run to a vending machine or to the school cafeteria or whatever restaurants were nearby to grab food throughout the day. And you're just gonna feel so much better when you do this. It does take some preparation ahead of time, some packing of your foods, an extra washing of dishes, but it is so worth it in the long run to be able to feel so much better when you're eating foods that you've prepared, that you know have high quality ingredients that are going to nourish your body and help you feel your best throughout the day. We have been outside working on this beautiful spring day, which almost feels like summer. But if you've been around my channel for a while now, y'all will know this one. It's a classic, the raw carrot salad. So basically this is a detox recipe. It's gonna help your body detox excess estrogen if you're in an estrogen dominant overload, which a lot of women are. So I always recommend if you're having any sort of thyroid issues, postpartum issues, to add the raw carrot salad into your daily foods. There's times when I don't have this because I just forget or I get lazy. I'll go through a little spell and then I'm like, wow, I should not have stopped eating that. So you have a couple options. You can continue to grate your carrot like this, which I do sometimes, or you can grate it on the grater. I think I'm actually gonna slice like this. It's actually easier to eat this way, I find, if you just continue to slice it. I do recommend eating this on an empty stomach. So if you're eating this as a snack, have it by itself and then maybe add a little something afterwards, which is what we're gonna do this afternoon. You want this to be in your body with an empty stomach so they can do the detoxing that it is meant to do. This helps detox the liver, detox excess seed oils, just all the harmful things that our body can come in contact with. So I'm just shredding my carrot. Then I'm going to chop up an apple in here. An apple will just add a hint of sweetness. I used to not add the apple, and then I realized that I like this carrot salad a lot better with the apple. So I want to take a minute and thank Nakano for this Japanese chopping knife. Nakano Knives is the sponsor of today's video here on the channel. I'm excited to get to share with you this wonderful company. This is the knife I've been using in my from scratch kitchen and have been loving it for all of my daily chopping and slicing needs. Whether you're brand new to from scratch cooking or you're a regular home chef, there's one kitchen tool you must have: a great knife. And I've gone far too long without one. Sharp, functional knives make all the difference in the kitchen, and if you're looking for something special to add to your kitchen, I highly recommend these knives. They are made in Seki, Japan by Japanese craftsmen using ancient Japanese techniques that are passed down for generations. Nakano combines traditional craftsmanship with modern techniques to craft household knives which will last for multiple generations. These knives are used in Michelin-star kitchens and by Japanese sushi chefs around the world for a good reason. They are so incredibly sharp and easy to use, all at an accessible price point. Nakano has been kind enough to extend a 20% discount for my followers using the code Amy Harris. So visit their website today to get 20% off your purchase of Nakano knives. A couple of mamas have asked me how to take this on the go. So you have a couple options. You can just take your knife and put it together when you're out and about, but that's not really convenient, especially if you're like in the middle of work and you just need a quick bite. Or put together your components here. This is also delicious with like raisins. And then for your dressing, I actually have my dressing coming together in my microwave oven now. I'm melting some coconut oil, and you're gonna add apple cider vinegar and salt. So what I've recommended is to have your apple and carrot, or just your carrot, whatever you're gonna use, already chopped or ready to be chopped, and then pack your dressing separately. So your coconut oil, it's about a teaspoon of coconut oil, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar or vinegar, and a pinch of salt. Have that in a separate mason jar, and then when you're ready to assemble your all carrot salad, pull out your apple, carrot, or just your carrot, and then drizzle it with the dressing. That way you're not having like soggy apples and soggy carrots throughout the day if you make it beforehand. My kids do eat this as well. They don't eat it every day, but if they see me eating it, they'll eat some with me. I've had several women tell me that they added it to their diet, and they were actually quite surprised at how delicious it actually was. And if you're having trouble eating it with just the carrots, add the apples. The whole purpose of the raw carrot salad is to consume it on an empty stomach. This isn't really like a filling dish. This is just like a detox healing food. But like I told you before, we try to eat very full, balanced, nourishing 3 meals a day, that we don't need bigger snacks in between. And like I said before, a snack can just be a smaller portion of a meal. So this is more just for health benefits. This raw carrot salad, this by no form or fashion will fill me up. If I just had this, I would definitely, if I was hungry, I would definitely be hungry again within 30 minutes to an hour, because this is just fast, complex carbs paired with that coconut oil, which is going to have a little bit of fat in there to satisfy you a little longer. But again, this one I have the good yolky chocolate milk on the side. So let me finish this and I'll show you how to make the chocolate milk that I take on the go all the time. Anytime we go out and about to grandparents' houses, to the park, just out for the day, I make this chocolate milk for my kids. That's probably what they'll have for a snack this afternoon before we get ready for dinner in a few hours. Egg yolk into a jar. Separate the whites. Add some sugar or maple syrup if you don't want to use the sugar. Cacao powder.
Cacao powder. I can say it, Mama.
So I don't whip this as good as I do like my Yoki coffees and my Yoki morning drinks, because I'm putting it in this jar and it's just going to be easy to take on the go. This is a super easy one to take on the go, and you just shake it really, really well before you want to drink it. I have a lid and show you how easy it is to shake up. So this will be just a super easy filling snack. I know people don't think of drinks as snacks. My husband's one of those people, but you can make a really filling, nourishing drink. And drinks like this are so easy to take on the go. I take these with us everywhere, guys. Anytime we leave our house, I have some form of a chocolate yolk drink for my kids and my husband to drink on while we're out. This one's so filling because it has that egg yolk, the carbs from the sugar and the milk, and just the protein from the milk. Milk in itself is a complete food when untampered with. We drink raw milk, y'all know if you've been around here. So here is our chocolate yolk drink. I've already finished the raw carrot salad. Riggs is finishing up a little bit of it. He came in as I was finishing up. So that is going to be our snack. Again, snacks don't have to be as complicated as many times we make them out to be. Because if you're filling yourself thoroughly with complete nourishing meals throughout the day, you're not going to feel you need as much snacky food in between. This is so good. Do you want some chocolate yolky drink, buddy? Chocolate milk?
I would love some.
For dinner, I was kind of in a rush, so anytime I'm in a rush for dinner, this is one of my go-to meals. This is a sausage gravy over biscuits with a fried egg on top. So I started out with some sausage. We've used pork sausage tonight. I was using venison sausage. I chopped up some links, really small, had some leftover apples from our snack earlier and tossed them in and just kind of browned the sausage and apples before making the gravy. In the midst of all this, I mixed up my biscuits. Now, this was just a quick biscuit. Y'all know that we really try to ferment our grains with sourdough. 99% of the time. These are sourdough biscuits, but they are not long fermented sourdough biscuits. So you're not going to be getting the benefits from the fermented sourdough starter in your biscuit. So this is not a way we like to eat grains often. This might happen once every other couple weeks. So quickly whipped up some biscuits, put them in the oven. Now, if these were too long ferment, I would have done the same exact process, but when I cut out the biscuits, I would have put them back in the refrigerator and let them kind of ferment for a couple of hours. You want to put these in the fridge, kind of like a pie crust, because they have that cold butter in there that needs to stay cold. In the midst of dinner cooking, I always clean up some dishes just to keep the kitchen rolling and everything not to be so piled up after dinner is ready. To finish up the gravy, I added a couple tablespoons of flour and then about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of buttermilk. This was just some leftover buttermilk I had from making butter. You could use any milk. Let that simmer, thicken up. This is the most delicious sausage and gravy. Every time I make this dish, my husband says this is like an award-winning dish you would have in a restaurant, even better than a restaurant. We top it with a fried egg. It is so good. It lets me know how our food is. He tells me cut and dry, this is a wonderful dinner. This is not a wonderful dinner. This is one of his favorites. So to plate this is just open your biscuit on the plate, pile on your sausage gravy, top it with the fried egg. So delicious. Y'all know I have a bedtime snack every night before bed. I believe in eating within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, as well as within 30 to 60 minutes of going to bed. It's going to sustain your liver throughout the night and not have you that crash. And if you don't have a newborn baby, I find that I'm not woken up in the middle of the night to go pee every night, but I do have a newborn baby, so I'm awake on and off throughout the night anyway. So for a nighttime snack tonight, I'm having some frozen blueberries with some of that whipped cream I pulled off from the butter earlier. I made my husband some hot chocolate, so of course I had a little bit myself. Normally we have bone broth hot chocolate, but I mentioned to y'all earlier that we are out of bone broth right now. I don't know how I'll let this happen. Do a cup of bone broth to sneak that in there and just get the benefits of bone broth in a delicious, nourishing drink. So tonight I just had the milk, the cacao, and the maple syrup. I've shared my bone broth hot chocolate many times on this channel. We like to top this with protein marshmallows or whipped cream as we did tonight, and just very delicious, nourishing nighttime snack to tide you over till the morning. I hope y'all enjoyed spending the day with me, seeing some of the foods we eat, and I hope this gave you some ideas of things you can take outside of the home if you are working outside of the home and need to pack your foods with you. Again, I know it is a lot more work to pack all this ahead of time and take it with you on the go, but you are going to see the benefits of eating healthier options than just the quick convenience processed options that are often marketed to us when we're out and about. And thank y'all for spending the day with me, sharing with y'all what we eat in the day, and I will see y'all in a future video.